This is the kind of book that like only I'm reading and only I'm like finding out about. Hi everyone, I am back with my May reading wrap up. May was, a crazy month for me, like I mentioned in my June TBR video. I had the Taylor Swift concert at the end of the month and I really couldn't focus on anything else except literally getting to the Taylor Swift concert, and then after the Taylor Swift concert, all I could focus on was the Taylor Swift concert. You're probably like, Kelly, say Taylor Swift concert one more fucking time. But basically, I had a slower reading month for me where I read slash listened to 15 books because truly at the end of the month there, it was so hard for me to concentrate on what I was listening to, what I was reading. My mind was just all over the place. But regardless, I'm still really happy with how this reading month turned out. I read so many great books, some new all-time favorites in here, and I can't wait to talk about them. So as always, I have my little tracker thing that I use, my little tracker template that I actually always post on my Instagram. In case you're wondering, Instagram is linked in bio with all of the books that I read. So honestly, we can just go in order from what I read to the last book that I read. So first up, we have The Silent Waters by Brittany Cherry. Now, if you watched my wrap up of my Instagram challenge, which is literally like 2 videos back from this one, you will know that this is the first Brittany Cherry book that I listened to. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. It's definitely an emotional romance between like 2 childhood friends to lovers. The girl is in like a very tragic accident. Well, no, she's not in an accident. The girl experiences something very traumatic when she is younger that causes her to like lose her voice. Like she just doesn't speak. And then the guy goes off to be a like really famous like singer. He's in a band. So they reunite years later. Again, it's definitely like a, I don't want to say like, I guess like it's always been you situation. They really just have a really beautiful bond and they really are each other's person. And while I found this book to be really, it was definitely entertaining. I liked the writing. It wasn't my favorite thing in the entire world. Like it didn't make me cry or anything, but it is definitely more of an emotional book. I just think overall it's a really solid, 4-star read, and I definitely cannot wait to read more from Brittany in the future. Then the book is out now, but I did read it as an arc. We have Primal by Jenica Snow. And I love Jenica Snow and these monster novellas. I feel like I bring them up. Like I feel like every time I talk about them, I'm always just like, I love them. All the books in this little monster series that she has, they're standalones, but they're each inspired by, like a different fairy tale. Like we have Beauty and the Beast, In the Beast. The Hunter is like Red Riding Hood, and Primal, so iconic because it's Goldilocks and the 3 bears. This was just 90 pages of pure monster goodness. It is a 1 girl, 3 bear creatures, a lot of breeding schmink in here, and I just found it delightful. It was a perfect palate cleanser. It was just such a quick read. I finished it in 1 night and I absolutely adored it. Adored it, adored it. A monster romance novella is going to do it for me every single time. I listened to The Dachshund Wears Prada, and hear me out. I gave this book 4 stars. I love this book. It was such a pleasant surprise. This is a pure cozy, fluffy, romantic comedy read, but there is some spice in here, which I thought was really fun. This is just about a girl who is actually I don't know if she was a publicist or an assistant. I think she was like a publicist to this really famous actress. And then something like embarrassing happens. Well, basically she accidentally live streams something that she shouldn't have. She becomes a disgraced publicist, and the main guy, his grandmother, not only did his grandma pass away, basically almost everyone in his family now has passed away, but the grandma has this very spoiled dachshund. She did leave the dog with the grandson. Again, he's very rich, and then one day in a very, over the top, meet cute, they meet in the park. And again, the dachshund is very like snooty, spoiled. She doesn't like anyone, but of course she happens to like the girl, in the park. She's like very good with her. And he's like, oh, my dog, like the dachshund actually likes you. And she doesn't normally like people. So then she becomes the new just like dog sitter, boss employee relationship. Like, what happens. I just think it's such an underrated gem, and it was really cute and fun. And of course, it's been on my radar for a very long time, purely because I find the title to be so brilliant. And I did love this book so much that I did buy the physical copy, okay? It's just so cute. This is the kind of book that like only I'm reading and only I'm like finding out about. I have not seen a single soul aside from me talk about this book, but I don't care. I liked it. Then another book that I gave 4 stars, we have Sicko by Amo Jones. Now, I don't even know how to describe this book. This was my first book by Amo. This is a dark romance for sure. This book is very dark. We're taking a complete 180 from the last book that we talked about. Very dark, forbidden. It is technically like a, well, not step siblings. They're like foster siblings. So the girl is brought into this family when she is younger, and then when they're older in the present day, her foster brother, he goes by Sicko now because he is in like a motorcycle club. And I just, again, like literally, I don't know how to describe this book from there because there's so many twists and turns, and it really just has to be read to be believed. I think if you like dark romances, I would totally give it a try. Like, it definitely has me intrigued to read more books by Amo because, I mean, listen, the spice in here was wild. This isn't my favorite book that I've ever read. It's not my favorite dark romance, but again, overall, I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was solid. I listened to it on audio. I like the audiobook. I just think if you want something that's like a little bit of a mind fuck, but still dark and spicy, definitely add it to your radar. Okay, now we have another book that I talked about in my TBR challenge wrap up with my Instagram TBR challenge that I did, and that is Just Like Heaven by Trulina Pucci. Read this on my Kindle. I was gifted the duet by Trulina a while ago, just like a digital copy of this, which is fun because this is the first book in a duet. Leaves on a cliffhanger. This is a mafia-inspired Romeo and Juliet story, but do not worry, it has a happy ending and everything, even though this book does end on a dramatic cliffhanger, but at the same time, it's Romeo and Juliet inspired. I don't know what you think would happen, and I just had so much fun with this. It is such a solid 4.5-star read. I really want to get to the sequel as soon as I can. I do have other things that are priority that I have to read first, but once I have the time, I will definitely be getting into the second book in this duet because I liked book 1 so much. I thought this was very entertaining, like really, really entertaining, and I do think it's incredibly underrated. I wish more people talked about it, and I just think it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Then guess what? These next 5 books, I don't need to discuss in depth either because I have a whole reading vlog for them. So yes, I read 5 really popular fantasy books this month, and I had a really great time. Even though not every book out of the binge was a win, I did get some new favorite books in there. Overall, it was fun to just step out of my comfort zone because I'm not a fantasy romance person, and again, I did get some books out of it that I really, really love. So for the full tea, I am going to direct you to watch the reading vlog. Now we are in the final chunk of books, the last 5 books that I read / listened to for the month, and actually some of them I own physically. But first up, I am in the middle of binging the Off Balance series right now, and I did read book 1 in May while I listened to it, and that is Balance, again, by Lucia Franco. I love this shit so much. I gave it 5 stars. This book is after my own heart, okay? It is a taboo, forbidden age gap romance. It's coach athlete. It is again super forbidden, super spicy as well. And let me tell you, after reading Hush Hush by Lucia Franco, this woman can write spice like her life depends on it. Her spice is so fucking good. I just found this book to be so delicious. I mean, this series overall is very messy. It's very drama filled. There's cheating. There's angst. There's so many twists and turns. It's literally a soap opera. It's a true soap opera. And I said that about Hush Hush as well. It's just very over the top and dramatic. And Rhea and Kova are just my messy, messy, messy babies. Like, they are my messy, messy babies. Should have known it would be something that I loved. I mean, going into it, I was pretty confident that it was going to be something that I loved, but I'm happy that it's living up, you know, to the hype for me personally. Okay, then I have the regular paperback copy of this book, and then I also have the one that was closest for me to grab, which is my beautiful Mystic Box edition of Sick Fucks by Tilly Cole. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite special editions that I have in my collection, by the way. Getting into the book, so number one, I'm pretty confident the only way that you can read this book currently is to buy like the paperback copy off of Amazon because the Kindle version may be banned. I'm pretty sure it may be one of those books that you can't get the Kindle version of. This book is an extremely dark and twisted tale of revenge inspired by Alice in Wonderland. Maybe you've gathered from like the clocks and everything. And this is very heavy on like the Alice in Wonderland inspiration. The characters in it are like obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. So basically, I don't even know how to describe this book. I also don't want to get in trouble by YouTube for describing what this book is. Our main two characters, Dolly and Rabbit, experience very, very horrific things when they're children. They go through things that are very traumatic and dark, and this is easily the darkest, most disturbing book I've ever read. It also is incredibly bloody as well. There is a lot of bloodshed in this book. This book is definitely not for people who are not seasoned dark romance readers. Listen, I even found the beginning of this book to be so disturbing that I was like tearing up because let's just say there are very dark things that happen to children on page, and it is constant throughout the book because you do get some flashbacks. So this is a very heavy book to read, but at the same time, I think because it's so over the top, it kind of balances it out. This book was 5 stars for me. It is not going to be 5 stars for everyone. This book is for an incredibly niche audience. And like I said, if you are not a dark romance person, you do not look at this book. And even if you are a dark romance person, you need to understand that this book is very over the top in everything. In the spice, in the violence, in just, it's crazy, but something about it I really, really just loved. Like I don't know, I have such a soft spot for this book. I really, really loved it. Overall, I'm really happy that I finally got to this book. It has been on my TBR for a while. Again, I personally loved it. I haven't read too much by Tilly Cole, but I'm excited to read more from her down the road because again, I really, really enjoyed this. Switching gears again, another 180 into a cute and sweet, charming small town romance. We have Runaway Love by my fave, Melanie Harlow. This is her newest release, book 1 in her new series, which is called Cherry Tree Harbor. This book is about Austin and Veronica. Veronica is literally a runaway bride. Right in the beginning of the book, she flees her wedding because her douchebag ex cheated on her. She finds out. She's like, I can't marry this guy. He's rich and snobby. It's just not for me. And she needs a job, and she runs into the sister of our main guy, Austin, who is a single dad of twins, and the sister has to go away for the summer. So she's like, hey, wait, we need a nanny. Austin's very picky with trying to find someone, but I think you should come and interview anyway. All very, you know, fluffy and cute and very small town and typical Melanie, where this book is just so fun and easy to read, but there is really good spice in here as well. I loved the tension between Ronnie and Austin. I just couldn't stop swooning. Austin is, you know, a typical blue collar, grumpy man, and his 2 twins were very, very cute. This book was also really short and it read really quickly, which I appreciated. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really, really loved it. I do think it's up there now with one of my favorite Melanie Harlow books. I just had such a good time with it. Book 2 is coming out in August. It's called Hideaway Heart, and you may or may not, a familiar face may or may not be connected to that book, and I'm just so excited for that book. Like, and I am sad, but also happy to report that my Tara DeWitt journey for the time being is done because I've now read all 3 books that are on her backlist. I mean, she does have the Christmas novella book, but we're not going to count that book. But her full-length standalone novels, I have now read all 3 of them, which are, you know, Funny Feelings, literally my favorite book of all time, The Co-op, and Rootbound. So I listened to Rootbound on audio. The audiobook is available on Hoopla, which is amazing. That's the free library app, and I loved this. I gave this 4 stars. The book actually starts with our main girl going through a divorce, and you know, in typical Tara DeWitt fashion, she loves to pull on your heartstrings. There are some heavier topics in here, and I will say I'm very happy that I didn't cry. This is the only Tara DeWitt book that didn't make me cry. She ends back up in her small town, and then our main guy, Henry, who, listen, I love Henry. Henry is actually like, what is he, an actor? I think Henry's like on this really popular TV show. This is just an opposites attract, small town romance, kind of grumpy sunshine story. Henry is just, he was so cute. Like, I loved him. And I liked that they had cute, like, inside jokes with each other. I feel like they had so many cute interactions with each other, and I thought that their relationship developed beautifully. Again, it's not my favorite Tara DeWitt book. I did give The Co-op and Funny Feelings 5 stars, and this one landed at a 4 star. It was still so well done, and at the end of the day, I will always praise Tara's writing because her writing is just incredible, and that is why she is one of my all-time favorite authors, because I just think her writing is so good. And then the final book that I listened to this month was another Vanessa Vale audiobook. I listened to all of these with Audible because basically almost, not all of them, but a very large majority of her audiobooks are available in the Audible Plus catalog. And anytime I need a palate cleanser, I will just go to one of her spicy Western novellas. Spurs and Satin, I gave 3 stars. Listen, it wasn't anything, you know, special, but it was a nice little palate cleanser. It's funny because the other novellas that I've listened to by her were Western period pieces, and I could tell by the covers, you know, and everything. I'm like, okay, this is a series of like Western period pieces. I love that. And I see the cover for this one, and I'm like, oh, maybe this one is going to be like a modern spicy cowboy novella. It was not. It was another period piece, but I didn't mind that at all because I do love a period piece. But I don't know, like, what was this one about? It was just about a girl who needed a husband, and he's known her in town, and he was like, I'm gonna be your husband. And then, oh, of course, she's like very innocent, so he has to teach her about things. You know what I'm saying? It was just really, it was short. It was literally like an hour-long audiobook. Really nothing special. That's why it's a solid 3 star. But again, these are my palate cleansers. But you know, it wouldn't be a reading month for me without a cowboy romance in there. All right, so that was it. That was my May reading wrap up, all 15 books that I read slash listened to in May. As always, all of my socials are linked down below. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Goodreads, all those down below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. It means so much to me. It really helps me out. And that is it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!